There are two words that can stop a man cold, and that is start over. They carry a weight that is hard to explain because starting over sounds like erasure. Like everything you built, everything you invested, everything you gave, somehow it doesn't count anymore, like you are back to zero and you have to begin again as if none of it ever happened. But that is not what starting over is, not even close. Few years ago, there was a man with foundation beneath him can build almost anything. Welcome to the rebuilding series. If you have been working with us through the previous series, through the silence, the mornings, the questions, the memories, first I want to say something important. You made it through that. Every episode, every honest conversation, every moment of sitting with something uncomfortable rather than running from it. You made it through, and now we begin something new. Not a continuation of the grief, but the next chapter after it. The rebuilding. And if you are brand new to this channel, welcome. You have arrived at exactly the right moment. This series is for the man who is ready, even if only a little, to start building something again. So stay with me. Starting over is one of the most misunderstood phrases a man can hear after everything falls apart. People mean well when they say it. It is a fresh start. You get to begin again. Think of it as a clean state, and maybe they are right in some ways. But what they don't account for is what it actually feels like from the inside. Because from the inside, starting over doesn't feel like freedom. It feels like a loss with extra step. You look at where you are now and compare it to where you thought you do be by this time in your life. The plan that didn't happen. The future that had to be rewritten. The version of yourself that existed in relationships. Certain about the direction, clear about the past, and now the past looks completely different, and you are standing at the beginning of it with less certainty than you ever had, and someone is calling that a fresh start. Before we go further, if this series is speaking something real to you, share it. Pass it to a man who is standing at the beginning of something he didn't choose and doesn't yet know how to face it. This might be exactly what meets him where he is. And subscribe now so you don't miss a single episode of this rebuilding series. The journey is going somewhere important, and I want you here for every step. Now let's continue. Here is what makes it even harder. When you look at the starting over, you are not just looking at the road ahead, you are looking at it through the lens of everything behind you. The years, the effort, the sacrifice you made that didn't get you where you thought you would, the version of the future you planned for that will never happen now, and that grief is real. I want to be clear about that. The grief of a future that didn't happen is as legitimate as the grief of the past that did. You are allowed to mourn the life you thought you were building. You are allowed to feel the weight of having to reimagine everything. That is not weakness. That is the honest cost of loving something deeply and having to release it. But here is where I need you to stay with me, because there is something you are not seeing clearly yet. Something that changed everything about how you understand this moment. We'll be right back after a short break. Stay with me, because after this, we get into the truths about what you are actually carrying into the next chapter, and it is far more than you think. Welcome back. Here is what I need you to understand. You are not starting from nothing. You never will. Because everything you went through, every year of the relationship, every hard conversation, every sacrifice, every mistake you made and learned from, every moment you held things together when they are falling apart, every sleepless night, every question you sat with, every version of yourself you had to confront and reckon with, all of it came with you. All of it is still in you. You are not a blank page. You are a man with depth, with experience, with a hard-earned understanding of yourself and the relationship that you simply did not have before. You know things that cannot be taught, things that can only be lived. And yes, some of what you knew had to be unlearned. Some of what you carried had to be set down. But what remains? What is still standing after everything that tries to bring you down? That is nothing. That is the foundation. And that foundation don't disappear. They hold even when everything built on top of them has changed. So here is what starting all over actually looks like. It doesn't look like erasing the past. It looks like taking everything the past taught you and building something better with it. It doesn't look like pretending you are back at 22 with no history. It looks like a man in his full complexity with scars and wisdom and self-awareness, choosing to build again, more intentional this time, more honestly, more aligned with who he actually is rather than who he thought he was supposed to be. Starting over means asking new questions, not how do I get back to where I was, but where do I actually want to go from here? Not how do I become who I used to be, but who do I want to become now? Not how do I rebuild what I lost, but what do I want to build that I have never had before? These questions have somewhere to take you, and the answer to them are already beginning to form inside of you. You just have to create enough space to hear them. One day, you will look back at this moment, this exact moment, where everything felt uncertain and the road ahead looks unfamiliar, and you will see it for what it actually was. Not the end of something, the beginning. Not a setback, a redirect. Not a loss of everything you built, a clearing of space for something more honest, more intentional, more truly yours. You are not starting from nothing. You are starting from everything you survived, everything you learned, everything you still are, and that it is more than enough to build something remarkable. If this first episode of the rebuilding series landed for you today, share it. Pass it to a man who thinks starting over means starting from zero. Tell him you are not starting from nothing. You are starting from everything you have been through, and that changes everything. Subscribe so you'll be here when the next episode drops, because next we'll talk about building a routine that actually holds you, not a routine built on discipline alone, but one built on understanding who you are and what you actually need right now. That one is going to be practical and powerful. Until next time, you are not back at zero. You never will. Now start building.